Hi, this is Leslie Zemeckis back with another Write for Success. My guest this week is Jamie Sumner. I just finished her middle grade debut book, Roll With It. It is heartwarming, heartbreaking, entertaining, and funny. You will love the main character of Ellie, who has cerebral palsy, a grandfather with Alzheimer's, a single mother who is trying to hold it all together, and a new school that Ellie must attend. When she is not navigating schoolrooms and corridors that are not set up for someone in a wheelchair, she is baking, and you know I love baking. I can say this book is not just for kids. A big-hearted story that's as sweet as it is awesome, says R.J. Palacio, author of Wonder. An honest, emotionally rich take on disability, family, and growing up, says Kirkus Reviews. In the tradition of Wonder and Out of My Mind, this big-hearted middle grade debut tells the story of an impressionable girl with cerebral palsy whose life takes an unexpected turn when she moves to a new town. So here is Jamie showing us where she makes magic and giving us her writing tips. Thank you for coming along, and we will see you back here next week. Remember, stories matter. Yours, hers, his, ours. Keep reading.
Hi, I'm Jamie Sumner, the author of the middle grade novels Roll With It and Tune It Out. And I am so grateful to Leslie for having me on to talk about my writing space. I said writing space because I don't actually have a writing desk. I don't think I've ever written at a desk. There's something about both feet planted on the floor and sitting at a hard surface that makes me feel like I'm about to take the SATs. So I have never been able to do any of my creative work at a desk. So this is my space. This is my big giant chair and a half that I purchased off of Craigslist and then hauled over to my home, and it has been my saving grace for writing. Ever since my kids were very, very small. I would get up, and this was the only space in the entire house that was not occupied by a sleeping person. So I would get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and sneak in what writing I could before I would go to my job, which was I used to teach high school English. So those days started real early. But I wanted to write so much that I wasn't going to let the darkness or the cold or whatever else was happening stop me from writing. So this was my spot, and it was cozy, and it brought that sense of comfort to my body so that I could let my mind go wherever it needed to go to be creative. And I'm so grateful for this spot. And my kids are a little bit older now, so I've had to be more creative about where I find the time and places to write. So I've also written, this is more recently when we've all been home and in each other's space more than any of us would like. I have taken to writing in my son's supported bathing chair in our giant master bathtub. So if you don't know, Roll With It was my debut middle grade novel, and it's about a girl who has cerebral palsy who also wants to be a famous chef, and she doesn't want to be known for her CP, and she's in a wheelchair. And it's inspired by my son Charlie, who also has CP and is in a wheelchair. And I wanted to write that book so that he could see a kid like himself on the cover and know that his story is just as important, and being known as himself is just as important as anyone else's story. So anyway, all that to say, he has a supported bathing seat that we use in the bathtub that's like a big automatic chair, basically. So sometimes I will hide in there and I will turn the bathroom vent on so all the kids think that I am occupied in other ways, and I will get a pillow and put it on my lap and sit in his chair and write on my laptop in the bathtub, and no one bothers me for a good solid 20 to 45 minutes at least. Which brings me to, I actually have 2 writing tips. So I've been thinking about this a lot. The first writing tip I would say is you cannot be too precious about your space. So if everything has to be perfection in order for you to write, then you're never going to do it. Your desk has to be perfect, your area has to be clean, you have to reach some sort of Zen state with everything around you in order to make the creative process happen, then it's never going to. You have to be able to work with what you have, and you have to release a little bit of that perfectionism even just in where you create. The second part of that is you can't be too precious about your time. I know so many writers and aspiring writers who think, oh, well, I'll write when I have 4 hours, a good solid chunk, 4, 6, 8 hours, then I'm really going to get to it. When do we ever have that much time on our hands where no one's going to bother us, or we don't have other commitments? It just doesn't happen. And so I write whenever and wherever. I write for 20-minute chunks. I'll write in the car while my husband is driving and the kids are buckled in and no one can get to me. I write in the dark in the morning, or in the dark at night, or hiding in the bathroom, or wherever I need to go, because the story is more important than the when and where exactly. And you really have to just let yourself give that perfectionism up. The same goes with your first draft and your second and your third and your fourth and your fifth. Like, we just can't be hold those expectations so high, I would say, for ourselves to get it right the first time, in the right place, the right time, and the exact right words. That doesn't happen. I would love it for there to be some kind of archive for all of us to be able to see every best-selling author's first draft. I think there would be a lot more brave souls that would venture out into writing if they could see that. So anyway, those are a few writing tips, and also my lovely writing spaces, and I hope you enjoy. Thanks for listening.